Hello and welcome to Simple Country Place. Thank you so much for watching. I have 4 super easy, delicious meal ideas for you today. Please subscribe, welcome, and enjoy. So the first thing I'm making could not be any easier. I am making crispy chicken wraps. So I have a tortilla there with some ranch dressing. And we had actually went to dinner the night before this, and my husband had leftover boneless wings. So I heated those up again in the air fryer to keep them crispy, which worked like a charm. And so I have those heated up, boneless wings. I'm adding some cheese, lettuce, and tomato. And didn't serve this with anything. It was kind of like a lunch snack for him, and I wasn't hungry and my nephew wasn't home. So, and those, the air fryer did an excellent job of keeping those boneless wings crispy. I obviously overstuffed that like I always do, but just made him 2 of those, and yeah, he said it was super good. And I don't like wasting food, so it was a good way to use the leftover boneless wings. On this night, I made the epitome of an easy meal. So I had that vegetarian chili portioned out, frozen, and I'm heating some of that up. I grilled those jalapeno and cheddar brats and am making chili cheese brats or dogs or whatever you want to call them. I served that with corn on the cob and that pasta salad, just the brat, the chili on top, and then cheese on top. And that's always a fan favorite in my household. On this night, I'm making stuffed pork chops, and I had diced up some potatoes for the side, but for the pork chops filling, I have caramelized onions there, and then I'm adding that cream cheese, the chive and onion, that's just what I had. I used the rest of that up. And I will be adding some Parmesan cheese, Italian seasoning, and pepper to that, and mixing it all together so everything gets incorporated. So I have those 2 boneless pork chops there, and I had made like a pocket to use my chef's knife and cut a little pocket in there. And then I'm going to shove or stuff the pork chops with that cream cheese mixture into that pocket. And I was a little bit nervous about this because I didn't have any like toothpicks or anything to like hold them together, and I thought they would explode everywhere, but they did not. So it was a win. For the seasoning on the pork chops themselves, kept it really simple with just paprika, salt, and pepper on both sides. That stuffing mixture has, all of the things, the caramelized onion, the chive onion, cream cheese, the other cheese, Italian seasoning, pepper, all that jazz. So the outside, the actual pork itself, I kept it simple. I had some olive oil heating up in that olive oil, or I can't remember, some type of oil heating up in that pan, and I was testing it, was like flick some water in there to make sure it was hot. And I'm going to sear, I'm not going to cook through, but sear both sides of the pork chop in that oil just to get like a slight crust on it. And then once it's seared, I have a prepared baking dish, so like a sprayed baking dish, just so nothing sticks. And then I'm gonna take those out, put them in the baking dish, cover it with tin foil, and pop it in the oven to finish cooking through. To go with that, I have those cooked potatoes. I just boiled them. I have some butter in there, and then I'm just adding seasoned salt, pepper, and parsley, and mixing that around and serving that with the pork chops. And I served it with some plain Jane green beans, just cooked up with some salt and pepper. And it was super good. My husband had never actually had stuffed pork chops before, so he really liked it. We had a friend over that day, also really liked it. And yeah, I had some of the potatoes. Those were super good. On this night, I made ham and potato soup, which used to be one of my all-time, before I was a vegetarian. I loved this stuff. My mom used to make it for me in batches when I was in college and freeze it, and I swear I lived off of it for like a semester. So I have some diced onions and that butter melting, and I'm going to let those onions cook down a little bit. And I am going, when they're cooked down a little bit, adding some garlic, just a big old spoonful, and letting that cook a little bit. And then you're going to want to add your broth. So you can use vegetable broth, chicken broth, whatever. I used just water and chicken bouillon cubes, because I usually don't keep broth on hand unless I make my own vegetable broth. So, and I don't measure stuff, but I'm pretty sure I did 6 cups because I remember unwrapping 6 chicken bouillon cubes. I'm also adding in the diced potatoes, so then when I add all the seasonings, those can start cooking. So for the seasonings, I'm adding pepper, parsley, thyme, and a couple bay leaves. Again, I'm not adding salt. I feel like I say that in every video because chicken bouillon cubes are salty. I always find a reason to not add salt to things. I don't know why, but my food turns out good. So once I add all the seasonings in there, obviously the potatoes and onions and stuff are all still in there. I am going to put a lid on that and then let that cook and let the potatoes start softening, let the bouillon cubes dissolve, get all those flavors in. When the potatoes are about halfway done, it's super steamy so you can't really see, but I am adding ham in. I had some cooked ham that I just had portioned in my freezer, adding some of that in, and then matchstick or shredded carrots, and again, those were frozen in my freezer. And I've made this before with other vegetables though, like zucchini or broccoli, like bigger carrots. It's all good. When the potatoes are done or they're soft, then I'm fishing out the bay leaves, and one of them was quite problematic. I didn't think I was going to find it, but I eventually did. And then I'm going to mash some of the potatoes, not all of them, just some of them, and this helps to like thicken the soup. And then I'm adding some half and half to make it creamy, and then cheese melt, or the off-brand of Velveeta. You don't need to add cheese, but if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I add cheese to almost everything because cheese is delicious. And me and my husband's household is a cheese-positive household. So once I get that all cubed up, I just put that like super low on the burner and then put the lid back on, so then the cheese can melt, things can thicken, all the flavors will come together, and kind of just stirred it occasionally but didn't pay much attention to it. With that, I'm just going to toast up on a fry pan. I don't know why I just didn't use my toaster, but toast up some sourdough bread that I had, which is my personal favorite. And yeah, it was super delicious. It finally cooled down a little bit where we live, so it was a perfect day for soup. I mean, it wasn't hot or cold by any means, but it wasn't a million degrees. So thank you so much for watching, and please come back for future videos.